Hello friends, welcome to this new lecture of Sure Shot Prelims series, and this is lecture number 4. In this lecture we will discuss about the important international relations issues and the places which were in news. And in this lecture I will provide you the most probable questions and the most probable topics which can be asked by UPSC in Prelims 2024. So if you see the general pattern which I have analyzed from the past 10-year questions is that generally in the last 2 years, if you see, there were 16 questions. That means 8 questions per year, and it will fetch you around 16 marks if you are able to do it right. So you can understand the importance of these topics and these issues. So pay attention while reading. Pay attention to what I am telling you about the pattern and how the UPSC is asking these questions, right? Then only you will be able to study effectively. So the general pattern is basically they ask you current based questions, the places which are in news, the issues which are in news, they will ask questions related to that. And there are location based questions, so it will be about what is going on in a xyz country. You have to focus, you have to know that in the larger scheme of the things, that okay, in Zimbabwe an emergency, an insurgency is going on. In Sudan there is a civil war. In Somalia there is a food crisis going on. So in general you have to know the issues going on in each country in a broader aspect, right? You don't have to go into the details of that, who is fighting whom and all that thing, right? First type of questions are those. Then the places where major conflicts are going on. Then the focus on regions. So there are areas, for example in Ukraine there are many regions, many cities. You have to focus on those regions, those cities. Similarly in Israel, in Lebanon, in Gaza. So you have to focus on those cities, those areas which are in news. So you have to read it accordingly, right? That one thing which has been seen is that UPSC sometimes asks the cultural regions which are there in those areas. For example, Ukraine or Russia का युद्ध चल रहा है, but the basis of that war is basically cultural conflict apart from economic and social. So you have to know what area is occupied by Russia and why Ukraine is claiming them. So that area which is occupied is what it is called in cultural terms, right? So if you see here that the Russia Ukraine war is going on, and they will ask questions related to that. So they have asked about where these countries share a border with Ukraine, right? So Bulgaria, Hungary, Latvia, Romania. So this is a very simple question, and you, if you just focus on the countries around it, right? Now this question is about decades of civil strife and food shortages, in which country it is going on, right? So again you have to just know the, in broad terms you have to know what is going on in a country. This is a question based on location. This is class 6 NCRT if you are reading, right? There was a full full chapter on this, right? Congo basin, and you will be able to easily solve this. Then if you see areas in conflict, Donbass, Kachin, Tigray. So this is a cultural region, and that is why you have to focus on that. This is in Ukraine, right? Similarly, Tigray and Kachin are those regions which are there in these countries. And this is again about Israel and Palestine issue. So you have to know a bit of historical context in this conflict, right? That what happened when, and what were the wars that took place between Arab and Israel, and Israel and Egypt, and Israel and Syria, right? Similarly, these are the questions which were regions in news. So these are the cities. Kherson is a city in Ukraine, right? So when you are reading, you have to know these cities, right? So in this, again, this is a broader question, that what is happening in these countries such as Mali, Sudan, successful coups, establishment of Chinese military bases. So again you have to focus on the broader aspect. Again, this is a location based question, and generally it is from Africa, right? So you have to focus on the African part of it. The term Lebanon. So this is again, as I was saying, the UPSC sometimes focuses on the cultural regions, that what was it historically called, what is the cultural reason about, what is culturally it is called, right? So you have to focus on that region, right? And this is again region often mentioned in the news: Catalonia, Amhara. So these were the regions which were in news at that time, right? Similarly, again you see this is again a pattern that what is broadly happening in these countries. These countries are generally from Africa or Middle East, right? Then Senkaku Islands, these were again in news at that time. So as per this pattern, I have identified three major areas which are most probable and what can be the probable questions from this. So first is your Russia-Ukraine conflict, then Israel-Palestine conflict, and then the third is Yemen and Mediterranean Sea where Houthi rebellions are there. So if you see the Israel-Palestine issue, then what are the major things which you have to know and which you have to learn? The first is, first and foremost, you have to know about the basic features which are there. So this is the Israel map, this is Egypt, this is Jordan, right? This is the Jordan river. So Jordan river is falls into this Dead Sea, right? Then this is Jordan Valley. Okay, this is basically Jordan, and this is called North Arabian Desert. This is Sinai Peninsula, which is in Egypt. This is Gulf of Aqaba. Then this is Gaza Strip facing this is Mediterranean Sea, right? If you can see here, this is Mediterranean Sea, Gaza Strip, and this is Mediterranean Sea. Then this is Sea of Galilee, right? This is Sea of Galilee. And one more feature is here, this is Lake Tiberias. Okay, so these are the major features which are there in this area. And this is the Golan Heights, which is in Syria but is occupied by Israel, right? So Israel have this Golan Heights, and this is Lebanon. So the first thing which you have to focus is on what are the surrounding countries, what are the neighboring countries of Israel. Okay, which is Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and here it is Gaza, and this is West Bank. Okay, and these are the hills which is called Judean Hills. So these are the major features, and the one of the most important feature is Negev Desert. So it question may be asked about this, right? Now if you come to this map, and as I have explained it earlier, that this is Gulf of Aqaba, and which is an opening of Israel and for Jordan into Red Sea, right? So Jordan and Israel has an opening into Red Sea through Gulf of Aqaba, and that is why it is strategically very important for it, right? Similarly, if you see here, the cities which are often in news is Ramlah, right? Haifa, this is in Israel. Okay, this is Golan Heights as I have explained it earlier, and this is Dead Sea, and this is Jordan, right? So this is very clear, these areas are very clear: Golan Heights, Sea of Galilee, Jordan Valley, and it because the Jordan River is the boundary between Israel and Jordan, right? Similarly, Egypt has Negev Desert as a uh, zone between Israel and Egypt. So the things and the places which you have to keep in mind is Aleppo, Bekaa Valley, Dead Sea, Euphrates River, Gaza Strip, Golan Heights, Gulf of Aqaba, Jordan River, Lebanon Mountains, Negev Desert, Sea of Galilee, Sinai Peninsula. Sinai Peninsula is in Egypt, right? Tel Aviv, it is again in Israel and is the place where most of the countries have their embassies. Transjordan is basically Jordan, it is the old name of Jordan. And West Bank is again the neighbor of Israel, right? This is West Bank. So you have to find where are these two places. Just Google search them, and this is homework for you, and let me know in the comment box that where are these two places, right? So these are the important places with respect to Israel and Gaza. and focus on these places, you may get some of these places. Now if we come to the Israel state timeline, then what happened, what are the various uh, accords, what were the various declarations which are often related to Israel Palestine issue. So the story starts from 1917. So Palestine was a part of the Turkish Ottoman Empire before the end of World War One. So when Britain won the World War One and Ottoman Empire lost it, the area which is now we call Israel and Palestine comes under the British Empire, right? British government was granted the mandate by Versailles Treaty, right? Versailles Peace Conference in 1919, which was there, and as part of that, it was decided that if it wins the war, it will be provided to Britain. The area will be provided to Britain, and Britain, in its Balfour Declaration of 1917, has already favored a Jewish homeland, which means even before it was granted the land, it has declared in Balfour Declaration that it supports the right of Jewish people to have a homeland, and that is and Jewish people asserts that Israel is their homeland, right? So Balfour Declaration is important and you all must remember it. Then comes 1948. In 1948, Palestine was turned over to the control of newly created United Nations. After Second World War, United Nations were formed and Palestine was put under it, and Britain lost it lost its control over it, right? And in 1948 the Jewish state was officially recognized, and this is very important because they may give you a statement that when was the Jewish state of Israel was officially recognized. It was in 1948, right after the World War II. Then in 1967 and 1973, Israel fought two wars, right? So in the first war, it took Sinai Peninsula from the Gaza, Sinai Peninsula from Egypt, Gaza Strip, the Golan Heights from Syria, and West Bank from Jordan. So it took West Bank from Jordan, Golan Heights from Syria, and Sinai Peninsula and Gaza Strip from Egypt, right? The entire city of Jerusalem came under Israeli control. But later it decided to give away the Sinai Peninsula, it gave the Gaza Strip and some parts of West Bank also, right? But it still has Golan Heights, which it took in 1967. Later, again, after 6 years, Yom Kippur War was fought, and Israel defeated both Egypt and Syria, right? So it defeated both, and after David Accords was signed where Israel returned Sinai Peninsula and Egypt recognized Israel, right? So, what are David Accords? It is very important. David, who was David? Let me know in the comment box. And in 1973, after Yom Kippur War, David Accords were signed and Israel returned Sinai Peninsula, which it occupied in 1967 from Egypt. And in Egypt, in turn, recognized Israel. So yes, there are some states which Arab states which recognizes Israel, such as Egypt, right? This was a question in UPSC. Now the second important reason is Russia Ukraine region. Okay, so I will focus on some places and some of the countries and the countries which are surrounding Ukraine. So if you see countries, this is Russia, right? This is Belarus, this is Poland, this is Moldova, okay, and here you have Turkey. So if you see this region is Crimea, and it is bounded by Sea of Azov and Black Sea, right? So this Sea of Azov is important for Russia, and this is the Black Sea which is there for Russia, right? So, and the cities which are in news this time. So if you see Kherson was asked last year. Similarly, if you see, they have asked about Zaporizhia, right? So this year I think they will ask about Bakhmut, because it is a area which is in news. And this is the second most important area, which is Mariupol. And Bakhmut. These are two important areas which you have to remember apart from other areas. So all the areas in this map you have to know. This is Dnipro, and this is Odessa, and this is Ismail. So all these things you have to remember. And this is again an important area which is Kerch Bridge. Okay. So Kerch Bridge is what is connecting between Crimea and Russia. Okay. And this is what separates Sea of Azov and Black Sea. Now if you see this side, there are areas such as Mariupol, Avdivika, Bakhmut, all these areas are very important from the exam perspective. And this is an important river which is Dnipro river, and it flows through Ukraine, right? So this is an important river. All of you must remember this. So learn the name of all these areas and where they are situated. Don't no need to go into too much depth. This is the basic which you have to remember. Try to remember all these areas such as Bucha, Kiev, Sumi, right? So all these areas were in news, and they may ask you from these regions. Now if you see the countries which are surrounding which are surrounding Black Sea, it becomes important. It is Russia, Georgia, Turkey, Bulgaria, Romania, Moldova, and Ukraine. Okay. Similarly, you have to remember what are the countries which are surrounding Ukraine. So this is Russia this side, Poland this side, Slovakia this side, Hungary this side, Romania this side, right, and Moldova this side, and this is again Russia, and it is surrounded by Black Sea. Okay, and here is the river which I told you already. So these are the important things which you have to remember. Now the third region which is in news is Yemen, right. So all of you must be knowing that there is Houthi rebellion group which is there, and it is attacking the ships which are going into the Red Sea. So you have to remember these things, and what are the various areas surrounding these things, such as Gulf of Aden is there, right? Okay, so remember the areas which you have to know is Strait of Hormuz, where it is, right? Gulf of Aden, okay. Red Sea, what are the countries which are surrounding the Red Sea? So if you see the regions and the cities which are in news, it includes Sana'a and Dhamar. So these are important cities which you have to remember. And one is Aden because it is Gulf of Aden, so it is in Yemen, right? And Sada is an important city. Then this is Sana, and this is Dhamar, this is Ib. So all these countries, all these cities are very important, right? Then if you see Ethiopia, Ethiopia was in news. The important area in Ethiopia is Oromia. So Oromia is an important area which is in news and which where the conflict was there. The second is Amhara. Amhara and Afar. Amhara and Afar are other two important areas. And Tigray has already been asked, but you must remember this, that where is Tigray, right? And Addis Ababa is the capital of this area. Okay, so Oromia is in Ethiopia, Amhara is in Ethiopia, Afar is in Ethiopia, and Addis Ababa is the capital of Ethiopia. So these are the important regions which are there from Ethiopia. Similarly, if you see Poltava Oblast, this is a region which is not a political region but is a cultural region as such. So this is important from perspective of the cultural region, and it is also in the conflict zone. Poltava Oblast is in Ukraine. Okay, so as I said, Sada in Yemen, Oromia in Ethiopia, and Poltava in Ukraine, these are the important regions for this year exam. If you come to Sudan, now in Sudan, just remember what are the countries which are there around it. Okay, so this is Eritrea, this is Ethiopia, this is South Sudan, this is Chad, this is Libya, and this is Egypt, this is Central African Republic. Okay, so first region is North Darfur region. So North Darfur region is there, and it is important in with respect to the regions in conflict. Okay, then the second region is Kasala which is also in Sudan. So where is Kasala region? You have to figure it out. Then the Khartoum region. Khartoum region is also in Sudan. Okay, and there is Darfur region. So Darfur region is there, which is North Darfur, South Darfur, and West Darfur. So all these are in uh, Sudan, right? And Khartoum region is this, which is the central part of it, and it is also the capital part of it. So Blue Nile river is here, so it passes through this. Okay, also learn the countries through which Nile passes. Okay, because they have asked about Congo basin, they may ask about the Nile river. So all these reasons, that is Kasala, Khartoum, and North Darfur, are in Sudan. Okay, so focus on these areas and focus on the pattern which I have told you, that these are the questions which may be asked. So whenever you are reading any region, focus on those aspects of any region, those lines. If you are thinking, then you will be able to fetch good marks. Otherwise there is no limit to what you are reading. Read basic things and focus on this slide. This is most important slide to know and to understand the pattern, and you will be easily able to solve at least 14 questions out of 16 questions. Okay, this is it for the lecture. Keep tuned in and we will meet again.